Hello, my horror-loving dudes. I'm Killjoy Jake, and today we're going to be doing another Scream 7 video talking about characters who are most likely to die. So let's just get right on into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Now, we know that at the end of Scream 6, we were left with 7 survivors. But on top of that, we know that Sidney Prescott is rumored to be in the next entry, as well as her husband, Mark Kincaid, played by Patrick Dempsey. So because those other 2 characters may or may not be in this next entry, I'm gonna throw them into this list as well. Why not? Who will live and who will die? Well, let's run through all 9 of these characters and let's talk about it. Starting off with Danny Brackett. We have a character here who was just introduced to us in Scream 6. I'm actually kind of surprised old Danny Brackett lived through the events of the last movie. I honestly thought that if he wasn't the killer, he was definitely going to die at some point, but they kept him alive for some reason. Danny, in my opinion, would be perfect opening kill material in the next movie. It would immediately set up that we once again have a ghostface killer who's going after Samantha Carpenter by killing her loving boyfriend who understands absolutely everything. My dark and twisted heart also loves to see sweet characters die at the very beginning of horror films, because I guess I'm just messed up. So this poor innocent lad, I do believe, is going to die by Ghostface's hand in the next installment. A little side note, I can't wait to watch this video back when Scream 7 does eventually come out, because it's going to be really funny to see if I'm right or wrong. Most likely wrong, but it'll be fun to guess anyways. Next up on the cutting board is Mindy Meeks Martin. Now, I really think one of the members of the Core 4 should die in the next film, but should it be Mindy? I don't know. I'm very 50-50 on if Mindy is going to die or not in the next film. On one hand, you have Randy, that died in Scream 2, and she might suffer the same fate because she's kind of our new Randy. But at the same time, would it hold the same emotional value as what Randy brought to the table? I mean, I like Mindy, but I don't know if I like her as much as I like Randy. I imagine a new killer in Scream 7 would be going after the Core 4, so I feel like at least one of them is going to die. I'm gonna say 50-50 on Mindy right now. I say her chances are about even. Next up is her twin brother, Chad Meeks Martin. Chad miraculously survived like 100 stabs to the chest in the last movie, so I know a lot of Scream fans out there probably want this character to die. But with old Dewey Riley being absent from some of these later films, it's nice to have a bit of a punching bag character who gets the beaten out of him in every single movie, but still miraculously lives. It's a fun Scream trope that I actually kind of enjoy. I really don't think they should do the same thing with Chad, where he gets stabbed 100 times and he just like gives the thumbs up at the end all weak-like. Don't do that again, but I think he should survive the next movie. Chad is just, he's way too nice of a character. I really like him and he's growing on me big time. Next up is Kirby Reed, who has just been brought back into the franchise after her return from Scream 4. I personally don't think they should kill Kirby Reed. I think she has a lot of potential as a character, being an FBI agent who's going after all the Ghostface killers. That's really fascinating to me. I think there's a lot of new things we can draw from her character personally, so I really hope they keep her alive for a couple more installments at least. I've also seen a lot of people say that Kirby dying would be distasteful. Listen, at the end of the day, this is a horror movie. People are gonna die. That's just what you get in a slasher flick. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, listen, all of these characters have got to die at some point besides Sidney. I think Sidney's the only one that's safe, in my opinion. The rest of them, they might die at some point. We gotta keep it interesting after all. Speaking of a character who maybe needs to die because they're at the end of their arc is Gail Weathers. I love Gail Weathers. She is one of my absolute favorite Scream characters, but I feel like her time has come. One of my big complaints about Scream 6 was I just don't think they had a clear idea of what to do with Gail's character in this movie. She kind of just resorted back to the character she was a couple of movies ago, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. The other thing with Gail Weathers dying is that it would be a perfect way to bring Sidney Prescott back into the fold, something many fans want to see. I think the only way you can implement Sidney Prescott back into the fold is 2 things. You either got to kill Gail Weathers, or you have to have Ghostface going after specifically her, and I just don't want to see the latter there. We've already seen that happen in 4 movies. We got to do something else. So I think Gail's a goner. I love her. I think she's a great character, but I think she's just at the end of her arc, and that's okay. We have more characters to explore with their arcs as well. Next up is Tara Carpenter, played by Jenna Ortega. Now, obviously, one of the biggest draws to these new Scream films is Jenna Ortega's involvement. She's a rising star, slowly becoming an A-lister, and it totally makes sense to keep her coming back to these movies, because it brings in a whole crowd of people. Probably one of the big reasons that last movie made like almost 170 million. But if they're going to be following the typical requel routes, which is to do 3 new movies, then this is going to be the last one. So if they kill Jenna Ortega, I mean, it's not really going to affect any future movies if this is the end of the Carpenter sisters' story. story. Personally, I feel like in Scream 7, literally nobody is safe at this point, so I feel like Tara Carpenter is definitely gonna go. It would be very shocking. It would be like the Drew Barrymore thing all over again back in the original Scream. And you still have her present for Scream 7. Like, she's still gonna be in the movie and, you know, part of the plot and all that, but she just dies towards the end of the film. Not only would this be a big shock, but it would also add to Sam's downfall, possibly spiraling into a Ghostface killer herself. I already talked about how if her loving boyfriend dies at the very beginning of the film, she's going to stop at nothing to find the person that did that. And maybe to change up the formula a little bit, what if it's two Ghostfaces going against each other? 1v1 Ghostface. Two alpha Ghostfaces going at it instead of having a sidekick character. The whole movie you could be following Sam as a Ghostface trying to find the other one. It could really flip the formula on its head. That would be a lot of fun. Speaking of Sam Carpenter though, she's next up on the chopping block. My thoughts on Sam as a character is that if they go one way, I think she's gonna live, and if they go another way, I think she's gonna die. I think that if they keep Sam Carpenter as our protagonist, our final girl essentially, yeah, they're gonna keep her alive. But if they send her down a darker route like many of us are suspecting, I think she dies at the hands of Sidney Prescott. Like, imagine this third act. If it's Sam versus this other Ghostface killer, she kills them, and then Sidney walks in and is like, Sam, what have you done? And then they have to have a whole fight because Sam wants to conceal her identity and shit. That would be fucking nuts. And it would once again play into the whole morality thing of if Sam goes Ghostface. Isn't she kind of a hypocrite by going Ghostface to stop other Ghostfaces? Maybe Sidney Prescott gives her that revelation way too late into the movie and has to kill her for that reason. That would be so epic too, to see these two former allies have to fight it out. Oh, that would be such a killer way to end this new trilogy. Sidney would have to win though, of course. I mean, come on. Speaking of Sidney and Mark though, I feel like both of them are going to live through this next movie if they come back. Sidney Prescott was absent in Scream 6, and that was because Neve Campbell had an issue with what her pay was going to be for this next film. While I don't believe necessarily that it's distasteful to bring back a character just to kill them, in this case it might be. Neve Campbell has said many times in interviews that she would never want Sidney Prescott to die because it kind of defeats the purpose of what the character is. Sidney Prescott as a character stands for surviving trauma, and to kill her in a movie just feels a little distasteful for that reason. So personally, I want Sidney to have her happy ending. I don't want her or her husband to die. But as someone who loves horror movies, who loves the darkness of them, and to see how things can slowly devolve more and more and more, I would love to see that happen for Sam Carpenter as a character, because that would just be so messed up. Ya boy likes him a good tragedy. I guess I have a dark, black, cold heart. And one more little rant I want to go on here. Many of us have not stopped talking about how Dewey died in the previous Scream film. It was a big shock. It was surprising. I can't believe they did that. That was pretty cool. I love Dewey. I think he's one of my favorite Scream characters, but for him to die, I think it made sense in that story. I'm happy with it. I hate to be quoting The Dark Knight here, but if some characters live long enough, they'll slowly turn into the villain. And I don't want that to happen to any of our legacy characters. Or, like Gail Weathers, they stick around for too long and the writers have no idea what to do with this character. I really love all of our legacy characters, and I don't want that to happen to any of them. So sometimes you just gotta end the story for older characters and start fresh with newer ones. And that's okay. We'll always have all of those movies with Sidney Prescott, Gail Weathers, Dewey Riley. We have all these characters in a bunch of movies. 5 whole movies together. Who do you think will live or die throughout Scream 7? Leave me your list in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this brand new Scream 7 video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon if you want to see this channel grow, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.